Hey, is this thing on?
Listen to this podcast. Hello, friends, beautiful earth beings. I wanted to talk to you today about some things that I've learned over the last year of my life. This has been one of the most, the most transformative year of my life. I feel like I literally died and came back to life. And I know people say that, and I've said it a lot in the past, but this time I mean it for real, okay? I can't even exaggerate the things that I've gone through in the last year. So I want to talk about some of the things that I've learned. I'm just here to spread wisdom and love. So stay tuned and let's get into it. So let's talk about the last year. I have learned so many things through the last year of my life, okay? I know that we all have our transformative years and years that we take action and years that we see significant change. When I tell you I died, like I truly died to myself and came back to life, completely rebirthed, completely a new person. I don't know if you have knowledge on star seeds or know anything about walk-ins, but in particular, I honestly feel like I had a walk-in experience where I feel like I can't even express to you. Every other time I've ever said I feel like a different person doesn't mean squat compared to how I feel now, where I literally I don't know, like I almost don't know old aspects of myself because I feel like such a new person, like such a different, like someone just ripped this veil off. Like I really just woke up from some dream of everything that I thought I was and everything I thought I knew, and has been birthed into this new being that sees life completely different. And I notice, you know, it's still there no matter how much you transform your older programs and belief systems and thought patterns and ways of being. And those do still come up, in which I'll notice that that's my old programming, but this new being that I am is then able to look at it in the face and say, oh, this is from A, B, and C, and this is how we're going to take care of it and transmute it. And it blows my mind because somehow, right, like there's still a space behind me, behind that old version of myself coming up, the new version of myself that's observing it, and the space and the awareness that observing those two. Okay, like I almost feel like I took like 27 tabs of acid somehow, and like I've become too aware. Like that's truly what this last year of my life has done for me. So let's talk about it a little bit, okay? So one of the first things that I unlearned and also, you know, learned and unlearned about myself was the fact that I had a extremely anxious attachment style. And that is something that was conditioned from my childhood and something that I ended up reliving as an adult because our ego wants to create what's comfortable, right? Our ego likes pattern and routine. So my ego needed to create the same situations that I had known since childhood in order to feel comfortable, even though it was just a cycle of pain. It's just because your ego becomes adept to that pain, likes that pain, no matter how painful it is. And you're like, why doesn't it stop? Because that's what it knows. So just to get real personal with you, my abandonment wound comes from definitely both parents. My dad was unfaithful in his marriage to my mom, and that definitely left an impression on me as a child. It's very weird because as I've gotten older, I don't really care about it. You know, like I was in complete understanding when I was a child as well. Like my father didn't cheat on me, but I think what stuck with me as a child is that people will choose others above you, you know? So, okay, that belief system is now planted in my head. Picture this as a child. So I'm having that abandonment wound, sorry. Ooh, they're like, use your throat chakra. I'm trying, spirit guys. Okay, so that abandonment wound from my dad, and then also my mom, she, and to no fault of hers, her dad had passed away when I was fairly young, and it was very hard on my entire family, and she just kind of stopped showing up in certain ways. And again, both my parents are still great parents for me. I was fed with a silver spoon and then given everything, whether we had everything or nothing. And it reflects on neither of them as parents, but as a child, you're impressionable. So what I understood as well was the sense of loneliness. So I kind of had both sides of the abandonment wound, right? So now what I'm going to do as I'm older is attract people, and this is where the anxious attachment comes in. What I'm going to now do is attract myself to people that I know. So what I'm going to do is I know the emotionally unavailable person because that's what I looked to in love as a child. So what I'm going to do is be attracted to the emotionally unavailable person, and then I'm going to create an anxious attachment because I'm still going to have those fears from the abandonment wound of, oh, people can leave me, people can choose others before me. So what I'm going to do is create that cycle with the emotionally unavailable person that I'm now finding myself attracted to. Okay. And what I'm going to do is perpetuate those same cycles. How am I going to do that, you ask? How am I going to create the same cycle with the person that is reflecting the love that I knew as a child, right? So how am I going to do that with this? And here's what you're going to do. You are going to be anxious that they're going to leave you because your belief system is that people can leave you and people will choose other people above you. So what you're going to do is, because of this subconscious fear, you're going to check their following list all the damn time. You're going to see it go up by one and freak out, spend hours trying to figure out who it is, figure it out, see some shit you don't like. It's going to be a mess. What you're going to do is you're going to want to look through their phone. You're not going to trust things they say. Why? Because you still have these fears and this belief system. And first of all, a side note on that, something that I've also learned from my anxious attachment style is that when you want to find something, you will find something. Okay. And what that means is the person that you are with could literally DM somebody the word green and you can be like, you're cheating on me. When you have this anxious attachment style, you will find something all the time because you are trying to watch out for yourself. And this is where I've had to offer myself a lot of compassion in understanding my anxious attachment style is your brain is just trying to keep you safe, right? So what it's going to do is your brain wants to know about somebody hurting you before it happens. So what is going to happen is you are going to look for things to be hurt about because your brain wants to protect itself and says, I want to know before you hurt me, blindsided, right? So what it's going to do is look, if not create things to be hurt by, and then say, see, I knew it. But in truth, it like in all reality, don't get me wrong, I'm not gaslighting you because sometimes you are right, but you have to understand that it's coming from past programming. Observe yourself and take a step back because a lot of the times you are creating problems that aren't there and in reality pushing people away to reaffirm your own belief that people are always going to leave. This is how you create the same cycles that you know from childhood. This is how your ego projects outwardly and is like, we are going to do what is comfortable because this is what we know, which is why it is so hard, first of all, to even realize what your attachment style is because your brain is so in it that this is another thing that happens with attachment styles period and just being a human period. Our ego tends to identify with everything that we are experiencing, the people that we know, the places we go, the things we're surrounded by. It creates a sense of identity through those things, even though none of these things are us. We are so deep in our attachment styles, whether anxious in my case, maybe your case, or avoidant, we are so deep in those attachment styles that we think they are us. So it's so hard to even identify what your attachment style is because you'll just think it's your way of being, which it is, but it's also something you learned. And then that's why step 2, it's equally so much harder to break that attachment style and start to heal yourself and start to do that inner work so that you can feel free from the inside out. And that's something that I've done this last year. And I can't even begin to tell you this illusion that I feel like I've woken up from of realizing that I am not the things that I thought I was. And that, you know, definitely the person that I was with was making things significantly worse and amped up my experiences. Also, in just the understanding for the gratitude that I have for that experience, because if things hadn't been so bad, then they couldn't have been so good. Like the universe needed to have me go through the situations that I did in order to get to where I am now. They needed to be as bad as they were because I wasn't learning any other way. And that's something else that I've had to learn this last year is to be grateful for all of the really horrible things that you've gone through. Because on the scale of how bad they are, it's because they're so equally as powerful in goodness and greatness and the things that that experience has to offer you and the opportunities that transmuting that experience is going to offer you. Like, once you have to get through it to see that, but however bad it is however good it's gonna be. And that's something that I have really seen come to fruition this last year. This time last year, I was coming to the end of being in an abusive relationship, and it was really, really difficult, and it was a really ugly, sinister ending. And now I'm sitting on my floor in California. I was living in New York. I moved across the country in 9 days. Like, I can't even make up has happened to me since I have taken the steps to take care of myself and have gratitude for the experiences that I've had, because trying to get revenge or justice in any way for my situation only made me feel worse. And because of that, you know, I was pushed to learn to show gratitude, because the way that I learned personally is that, and I thought it just took me a while to learn lessons, but I realized that what I do personally is I will go through every if and but of a situation. I will try like I'm picturing like 18 holes of a golf course. Like, I will try to go any way besides the way that I should be going. To me, it's fact checking, okay? It's proofreading. I'm just making sure nothing else works. Nothing else that would comfort my ego works when I know spiritually like what I have to do. So when I am pushed to finally do the thing that is right universally and that spirit wants me to do and my soul wants me to do, I'm like, right, it was this the whole time. So I tried the revenge thing, I tried the justice thing, and it didn't work out, newsflash. And I tried the gratitude thing because I had nothing else. And honestly, I realized that was all I needed. So yeah, through extreme suffering, I was able to identify my attachment style, learn more about it, and ultimately understand that the more that I ever looked for love, understanding, compassion, truth, authenticity, the more that I ever looked for that in somebody else, I was actually looking for that within myself. And the magic that I felt with another person was actually me giving them meaning, because that magic was actually always me. The magic that I felt from them was a reflection of myself. And don't get me wrong, people have their own magic for sure, but the thing that I thought that I missed and that I was going to lose when I was no longer with this person, I realized has always been here. It's always been here, and it's always been me. It was never about that person. And the more attachment that I had to that person, the more meaning I gave them, the more I identified with needing them in my life, right? Back to the ego perpetuating that cycle. I was actually just hurting myself, and this person was also hurting me. Sorry about the dark humor. And I was like, wow, it was never about you. It was always about me. And I'm grateful for that person and that experience and everything that it's taught me, because it got me here. And it truly, I can't even tell you, like, I feel like someone literally took my brain out of my head and put it in a different body, like threw it out, was like, bye, forget this version of you. You don't need her anymore. And I say that lightly, because to all of my people that know how serious that is, I did not forget that aspect of myself. If anything, I very much give her love and compassion and understanding, and me and her are still trying to trust each other every day. So no, I didn't throw her away, but back to my little analogy, it's like someone took my brain out and was like, we're gonna place it on a little shelf over here and give you a new one, because boom, life is beautiful now and everything, you're just a fucking magnet for abundance. And it all came from gratitude for, having identified my attachment style, learning about it, unlearning it about myself, and just really putting puzzle pieces together on why it is I think the way I do and why it is I feel the way I do, and observing my own family patterns and how they deal with things. We are a result of nature versus nurture. We are a result of all the things plus cosmic things. Multidimensionality is so real. You are also like a collaboration of all your past lifetimes, air quotes past, because those are also still going on right now. And you are a bunch of different starseed races, and you are just so many things. So coming to awareness about all of this in the last year has really made me feel very peaceful and very free. And if there's any advice I could give you, it's to really start asking yourself just why. I've always been really annoying since I've been a child of just having the why question. Why is this orange? That's the color the artist wanted it. Why? His favorite color is orange. Why? Because he likes oranges. Why? I've always been that way, but start doing that about yourself, okay? Start taking a second to observe your own thoughts, your own patterns, the way that you love people, the way that you feel like you might need to show up extra hard for some people, and why do you feel that way, and is that healthy? Take the time to observe yourself, and don't be afraid to face yourself, because I feel like that's a thing I've noticed is a lot of people are very scared to face themselves. Me personally, I know that from my own experience of liking to think that I'm a mirror in everybody's life, and anybody who knows me knows I definitely am, where I don't let anything slide. If you are in my life, you know that you have to come correct and come authentic and truthful, because you will not get away with anything. If you say something that is rude and I choose to have a boundary, not speak to you, you will apologize to me before we ever speak again. I will not people please and just say, oh, it's okay because I've known this person for 12 years. You will come correct and you'll apologize. And a lot of people can barely do that, let alone hold themselves accountable for a lot of big things in their life, big and small, actually. So yeah, a lot of people will not want to face themselves, especially through you. You know, a lot of people can't look themselves in the mirror and do this internal work, and they will not be able to do it through their relationships, and they will not be able to grow the way that you can grow. Just be aware of that. Don't take it personally, and don't do it. Simple. Don't be afraid to look yourself in the mirror and know that none of the parts that you think are ugly about you are ugly. You know, we all have a shadow self. We all have a darker aspect of ourselves that is just this hurt little puppy dog, childlike, innocent energy that doesn't know any better. And it doesn't make you any less of a person. It doesn't matter the things that you've done, the things you might have said. It doesn't matter about your past. Just know that everything just is and is playing out the way it's supposed to be, and no matter what, you are unconditionally loved. And look those parts of yourself in the face and say, how can I help you? I think a lot of the time we think about our past and we feel shameful or we feel guilt about allowing people to do things to us or the things that we've done to others, when the truth is we can just give those aspects of ourselves love, because that's really all they're asking for. You know, they're asking to be heard. It's like a crying baby. You don't just ignore the crying baby. You go and attend to it, because that's how you get it to stop. That's how we heal, is by facing these aspects of ourselves and not being afraid to go through the little dark tunnels with a flashlight and be like, hello, it's me looking for me. Ciao. Don't be afraid to do the work, because purposeful and is supposed to get you to where you have to go. Through this last year, have done nothing but the work, and I think a lot of it was honestly a trauma response, because I dissociate a lot when I go through really intense things. That's something that I've also learned this year. Like, truly, there was 5 days straight where I sat in silence after going through something very sinister. I didn't want to think about anything besides just working, and I worked, and I kept my head down, and I did physical work and I did internal work, and literally all I did was let myself feel, let myself think, let myself rage, let myself cry, let myself experience. I observed it all. I asked it what it was teaching me. I programmed the things that I was doing, which is another important thing I've learned. Like, if I'm going to scream, I'm going to imagine that scream is ripping through the veils of reality, and that with each scream that I release, plopping myself onto a brand new timeline. Like, there's a hole that's ripped above me in the sky, and with each scream I bloop onto a new higher timeline that's offering me even more abundance and love. Or I work in a restaurant, so every time, especially when I was in New York, I would do a bunch of roll-ups, and I would imagine that every time someone unrolled one of my roll-ups, it was like a flower blossoming in reality. And let's say this roll-up is for this person to receive unlimited financial abundance. Boom, let's say that person unrolls it and they win the lottery in 3 years. You know, it doesn't matter. It's not my business, but I'm programming the things that I'm doing to mean something else. And I think that's also really, really powerful. So start doing that. Regardless, I'm doing this inner work. Whatever I'm doing the inner work. So I had my head down and I was just like, you know what? The only way out is through. All I can do is feel it, because I don't want this coming through another experience in my life. Like, I'm done with this. I think something shifted in me, like literally I just flipped a switch where this is where the walk-in happened, and I was just like, this is never gonna happen again. Like, straight up, it's not happening to me. It's not happening to my daughter. It's not happening to my daughter's daughter or her daughter's daughter's daughter. It's not happening to anybody that is ever associated with me or is in my lineage ever again, because it ends with me. Okay, it ends with me. It ends with me. I wanted to do this work because I don't want anybody else to have felt the pain and the burden that I had or experienced the traumas that I did. If there's anything I can do, it's work on myself so that I can work for other people, whether I'm related to them or not. I've also realized that last year, a part of my purpose is to help people with the things that I have gone through. And I'm still trying to figure out which way I'm making change with that. But I know, and I feel a flicker in my soul that it's aligned with something that I'm supposed to be doing, and that I'm definitely supposed to be using my voice. And it's been beautiful, but I can only do that work for everybody else and the people that I love by doing that work on me. We are all one universal consciousness. So when I'm healing myself, I'm putting that healing energy into the universe for other people to also tap into. And that's something that's been so rewarding that I've just noticed alongside my healing journey this last year, is that like all of the work I'm really doing for myself, I really am transforming people, whether they consciously know it or not. And you will too, and you already are. That's another thing too, is I've learned this year, is to stop having expectations for myself. You expect when you're on a healing journey to, even if it's baby steps, always be taking one step forward. And some days you just cry 10 years later over the same thing, and that's okay and that's fine, because someone wise told me that what is crying about something for 10 minutes, 10 months, even 10 years in the span of like infinite time, right? Like if you are healing something, especially if it's like a generational trauma and you are breaking something for your generations to come, you are like, baby girl, what is 10 years? That literally means nothing anyway in the great span of time, because this whole lifetime is just one bloop, little blip of existence, okay? What is 10 years, even if it feels like so much of this lifetime, in comparison to everything? Like in comparison to all of the time, air quotes time, once again, because it's not real, all of the time to come that is saved from the healing work you're doing, what is that? It means diddly squat. So don't feel bad about needing however long you need to process things. Definitely give yourself a limit, and even if you cry every day, give yourself like the 5 minutes to cry and keep it productive. There's a fine line between letting yourself fall back almost and justifying it, and I've definitely done that myself in the past, and just being like, oh well, I deserve to feel this, and then it's just me being sad all day, when then I end up feeling unproductive, and then I get into a guilt mindset about that. And I've just had to come to the conclusion, let yourself cry, let yourself do whatever, go punch a wall for 3 seconds, and then pick it up and move on and be productive. The truth is, the only way out is through, and eventually you will feel the feeling so much that it will just stop. Doesn't matter if it's 10 months, 10 minutes, 10 years, the only way out is through, and it will stop. I promise you, okay? So just stay true to yourself and stay committed to yourself, and choose yourself every day to do that work, because you deserve it, okay? You deserve to experience peace, love, and happiness right here, right now. You deserve to feel this freedom, this weightlessness every day when you wake up. And it happens when you do the inner work and you realize that you are just this love, light being that just is existing through life, and it's kind of just like a giant play, and we all have these little characters and we're all just playing the shit out, and at the end of the day, none of it matters, because we take off these costumes and we go home, and it all just is. It all just is. So I know I'm just getting back into making content again, so I'm not going to keep this too long, but one of the last things I wanted to talk about that I've really understood this year is detachment. And detachment, for a while, I misunderstood as either intellectualizing my feelings or dissociating from them completely. So my brain just goes elsewhere, okay? My brain literally shuts off and is like, I would rather not deal with this at all, and or try to make sense of everything so that I can detach from it, which is hypocritical in itself. It doesn't make any sense, whatever. I've understood now that detachment in a healthy way means understanding that you are whole without the person, place, thing, or idea that you are clung on to, that you are hanging on to with white knuckles and trying to control, okay? It's understanding that if that thing, person, place, experience were to leave you tomorrow, you will be okay because you understand that something better is coming, one, but two, that thing had served a purpose in your life. You can offer gratitude and love for it and keep it pushing because we understand that we don't own anything, right? Nothing is essentially ours anyway. So why do we place these attachments onto things that are constantly in flow? Life is constantly in flow. Things are constantly changing. Things are always shifting. Each and every moment will never be the same. So how could a person, place, or thing be the same forever in our life? So detachment is really understanding that you are a fulfilled, perfect human being and that none of that stuff identifies you. Even your name, your age, none of these things identify you, okay? Detachment, even from that, is understanding that you are just this energetic light being that just is, and that is healthy detachment. It's like at the end of the day, everything is playing out how it plays out and tapping into being that awareness, that backseat observer that is just watching everything play out through your eyes and understanding everything is perfect and the way it's supposed to be and everything just is. And the specifics of the who, what, where, when, why don't matter because the greater energies and beings that are at play here, you and me included, it's all working out in divine timing and according to a divine strategy and plan. Detachment is knowing you'll be okay and knowing that everything works out best case scenario. And it really does. And when you practice a healthy form of detachment, it also allows you to become the magnet for the abundance that's waiting for you. When you have this attachment in a needy, clingy way to the things that you want, the things you're desiring, the person you think you need, you actually, since you're coming from a place of lack, are pushing those things away because you're coming from this desperate energy. When you are able to detach and understand that if that thing is meant for you, it'll come, chances are that thing is going to come to you. You honestly wouldn't want the thing or the person you're trying to get unless it is already for you. So when you can detach from it, then it will make its way to you. But if you're like, oh, I have a crush on this person and now they need to be my person and now all these things, you're going to create this cycle of desperation. And people, we're energetic beings. We can feel things. So someone will know when you're coming from this desperate energy through every action you do, just because it's like an energetic stench. Okay. And they will be pushed away from you no matter what you do. No matter how long it might last, they will eventually be pushed away from you because you're creating that cycle. Whereas if you are detached in a healthy way and say, hey, I think this person's cool, I really like them a lot, if they're meant for me, they will be. If not, cool. Like I said, if you are attracted to it, it is because it is attracted to you. Let's say you end up dating that person, you understand freedom and the need for people to be their own beings and that sense of healthy detachment. Chances are you could be with that person forever. You know what I mean? Like, you push things away when you come from desperation, and when you detach in a healthy way and you understand that you are whole, you beam abundance and this frequency that then everything that you want is attracted to you. Come from a place of attraction, not from a place of chasing and desperation. But yeah, that was just some things I have learned in the last year. I have definitely learned enough to write a 20-part novel series, but I will keep it quiet for now because I don't want to talk your ears off. So please do let me know if you have any questions about anything that I've, gone through or anything that you're going through. I would love to talk and connect with you. If you have any questions about anything in the spiritual realm, astrology, you just need some advice, whatever it is, I would love to get in contact with you. So please don't forget to definitely subscribe to this podcast, subscribe to my YouTube channel, definitely comment on any platform you might see me on. Feel free to ask me anywhere. I'm always aware, always listening, and I always want to connect, listen, and love you. Thank you for tapping into my first episode. I'm so grateful to be aligned with you. Everything is working out best case scenario. Don't you forget it. And I will see you on the next episode of It's Time to Wake Up. Love you.